Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mile High Sports Symposium. I am JT Matthews, your host, and I am here, as always, with the doctor, Nicholas Manning, at dr_nmanning on Twitter, and at JTMatthews01 on Twitter for myself. Doc, what are you up to today? You're rocking the doc look. You got the glasses. You're going full intellectual on me.
Yeah. The daughter said, "Dad, you slaying those," and so I kept them on.
I mean, I trust her judgment more than I would trust our judgment. So,
100%. I was like, I was gonna take them off. I probably will take them off here in like 2 minutes, but
yeah.
she hit me with the "Dad, you slaying those," and that was like 7 minutes ago. So I was like, "Oh,
we'll see how long they last." But for now, they're
who am I to argue with the youth?
The youth,
You know?
the trendy hip youth.
Yeah.
Any fun, exciting plans today or this week?
Today, no, but we are gonna go cabining. Not gonna say camping because it's not.
Right.
But it's like quasi, it's glamping-ish. So we're gonna go do that this weekend while my son will be camping with his Boy Scout.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, so he's it'll be first time without Dad. We'll see how that goes.
Interesting. That will be fun to see. You never know, you kind of gotta let it up. You gotta let up every once in a while and just see how it goes.
I mean, yep. If they're willing to lead, and I trust the adults up there, then and he feels confident. You gotta let go.
Yeah,
let go.
Yeah, it's a little tough sometimes, but
yeah.
They're coming up. They're getting there. They're going into middle school. But I mean,
You're right.
It's about time. If it's gonna happen, it's got to happen now.
Yeah, I mean, he went to like 3 or 4 days at outdoor ed.
Oh yeah.
It's, it's as long as their expectations are like he's going to be a kid, and as long as ours are he's going to be fed.
Yeah.
Come home. Then we'll fix the rest.
Yeah, as long as if we survive, and that's the biggest hurdle.
I mean, in the end, if they come home, we'll fix it, right? Like, well, this, yep, that happened. That's what we call a learning experience. So.
For sure.
What do you want to do for a week?
For a week. I know. That's interesting. I would not want to camp
learning experiences
for a week. Like I like camping for a few days, like a weekend, but eventually I miss the air conditioning. So.
Oh, for sure. I had some where it's like I had like social anxiety, and so my mom, bless her heart, she sent me on so I went to outdoor, but like right before that, I went to to Dare Camp, which funny as it was, I was all about the Dare program. I knew it was like dumb when I was like in school, just say no, but I was like, that's common sense. Like I just don't want it.
Yeah, right.
I don't need it at 9 years old. Like I got energy all day.
Yeah.
Like, why do I need dope? And and so I went up there, nobody knows, none of the kids are from the same schools. We just get up there, and then it's weird the first couple days. I was a sports guy, but I didn't they had lacrosse going up there. Never played lacrosse before because I grew up in inner city apartments. Never do. But day 4, I'm slinging that stick around like a, I'm from Maine. It was dope. It was weird because it's the first 36 hours, hated it, wanted to go home. The whole I'm crying in a closet somewhere probably or something. And then the last 36 hours, I don't want to go. I regret that I even suggested we do an early night on the last night to go to sleep earlier, to leave, get up and go earlier, and I'm mad about it, all that stuff. So I hope one, our kids won't have any of that. There's a little bit less of a inability to willingness to connect. I definitely had way more social anxiety. I feel our generation of kid was Yeah, like you didn't trust each other yet.
Yeah.
There wasn't like you just walk up and be like, hey, like want to be my friend? And like that stuff works. I don't know if that would have worked. I don't know if it wouldn't have. We didn't
Oh.
really try it.
Yeah,
Try it. I don't think I ever walked up and asked someone to be my friend. I think you just figure it out.
Right.
You know, like one of you trips up and is like, yo, who's that? Oh, this is my friend. And like you look at like confirmation, you know, it's like never call someone your girlfriend or boyfriend. Like
right.
you just like you're together long enough, and then you're like,
Just can't happen.
You know? Yeah. I don't, man, just open and honesty. Like, why did we not? We probably would have been a healthier generation, and now we're parenting this one. Maybe we're getting it right. Maybe we're not. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah, you know, we'll see. Time will tell. I'm interested.
Nobody was wanting to. Nobody wants to like. Like what? I got stuff going on. I got stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just. I'm always. I say to Jackie, I'm like, oh, I'm interested to see what trauma I hand on to my children, because it's inevitable. When you have kids, it just happens.
Oh, you know? I was like, we're talking about it. Like, we were the underparented population. Right?
Yeah,
so we're the generation of underparented. Like, essentially, like, go and don't get arrested.
Yeah, right.
That was like, don't get arrested, don't mess up the house. Like, that was it. And so if I was gone all day and I came back and like was fine, like my mom was happy. Didn't ask me like, I mean, what did you do? Like played. And then now, right? Like my kids have tracking devices.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. Like we're the ones that like benefited from all that. We're the ones that created the internet. So we are traumatizing ourselves about all the weirdos out there. There were the same amount of weirdos when we were kids. We just didn't know. We always thought that they lived in Indiana. You're always just like, like, oh, because you see the one like TV thing and you forgot that like they're just not putting it in the news when it happened in Denver.
That's true.
Like, oh, and then you find out forever later, like there's a serial killer 3 blocks from you. You're like, oh,
yeah.
Snap. Thank God we didn't have the internet then. Am I right?
Yeah, there's 45 sex offenders and in a 5-mile radius of your home. Yeah. Congratulations.
Right, man. Yeah, like apps. I wouldn't put that on my phone just for the fact of like, jeez.
Well, let's transition to sports.
Sports. Hey, you know what? These are kids that grew up from the parenting that we're talking about. So
that's right.
We're gonna do drafted.
They're getting drafted today. We'll see what happens.
Today and Friday. You know, the hockey kids are a little different.
Yeah, a little bit different. It's a little different.
Yeah, they like they ship them off to boarding school at 13 if they're good.
right. Like you have to live somewhere else and just play basketball. Here's your job. You're 13. You have a job now.
Yeah. No pressure. The family expects.
Yeah. You are our racehorse, so we expect you to win some races.
Yeah, if we want that pond out back for you to continue your craft.
That's right.
Let's get it done.
All right. Well, where do you want to start? You want to start? Which draft do you want to start with? We're going draft. We're doing some draft talk today.
You know, let's mess this up a little bit. Let's talk the Avs because let's just talk a little bit about how much FOMO do you have watching or not watching the rest of the Stanley Cup playoffs?
Oh, I mean, I didn't really watch much. I turned on a few games, but I didn't watch any fully. You know, it's just hard for me. Once your team's out, it's like it just hurts your heart a little bit. You know, it's like
especially when we were. I've heard it like on the radio, and I'm not about how 2 months ago you and me, we were talking about dual parade, bro. I mean, like legit, and it was founded. We had both teams with the MVPs and the odds-on favorites in Vegas to win, and usually they do a pretty good job of stacking their decks, making their money. So it was. I followed along. It was hard. As it started to get to the finals, it's like there's 2 camps, right? And it's like, do you want the team that beat you to win it, Because you can be like, lost to like the champ. We'll talk about this when we talk about the Nuggets. Or you want them like obliterated, right? Like you want your rival like smashed. We've talked about that with like college sports. I'm a Florida State fan. I never want another ACC team to succeed. I want them to have good enough records to like build up State's strength of schedule, but I don't want them to like ever feel like they compete, right? Like I want to smash them to the ground.
Right.
I never want to win a division by a game, you know. I mean, an inch and a mile, all that Vin Diesel stuff. Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
But no, you know, and so I'm watching it and I'm like, well, you know, the Stars, I like how they play in the sense of like, it's really team hockey, right? Like there's just waves of guys who are committed to a cause.
Yep.
And I dig that. There's not a lot of like, you know, I'm not 6'9", I'm not all that stuff. I was a grinder. So like, I very much appreciate that.
Yeah.
And so, but then it's like, yeah, but you know, if Val keeps it on, you know, like
right.
Puck bounces a couple here. Like, no, like I don't want you to win. Like, I don't know how to feel about it. And then Edmonton puts it on them. And I do like greatness. I like LeBron. I like Jordan. I like Dan Marino. I like Brady. I like all the stuff. I like to hate them too, but I appreciate just really good at stuff.
Yeah.
Because there has to be like someone that like sets the bar, right? Like, and if someone isn't great in your sport's probably not that great.
Right.
And so watching what McDavid was doing was like phenomenal. I mean, it's, you know, it's like like he's putting up Jokic assist numbers.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, like, dear gosh. And so then there's that like, well, he's going to be like amongst the greatest ever to play anyway. Right. I think this year is probably like, this is the best that McKinnon has ever played. And if you were to survey 100 NHL writers, who would they rather start their team with? And I know a ton of us are, you know, Nate till we die.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to change that, but I think that we are homers in that. And that McDavid has shown, you know, to be able to impact the game in a whole bunch of variety of ways. So it's like, well, if he's going to be great anyway, do you let him get one? You know?
Right.
You know, it's not, they didn't beat us to get there, like all the stuff. Like if there's a time for him to get it, and then they get like, like down 3. And I'm like, you know, we beat the Panthers 96. Vanderbeek, shut your face. You know, like let them get one. Because then we can always be like, well, we beat Florida. Fine, you know?
Yeah.
And then they come back like roaring back 3 games. Like, this is like stuff of legends. I'm like, there's no way, you know, like, yep, you'll get 1. Yep, you'll get 2. But we've seen it. We've like, you just, to be able to hold that candle that long, down 0-3, like it doesn't happen, man. And
yeah, it's true.
Then to get to game 7, I didn't know how to feel.
Right.
I still don't know. Like, part of me is I'm like more glad 51-49. Glad that Florida won. I think they were the better team all season. I think in the end, you know, the right team got crowned. And then to watch the coach like talk to his dad and tell him like he's etched on Stanley, you know, your name's going to be on the cup forever, Dad. Like stuff like that. One, just Stanley Cup. If you aren't into hockey, I'm sorry. There is a difference about like that culture and then like the reverence of like the greats and winning that trophy. That trophy is the greatest trophy in all of sports. I don't care what continent or any of that stuff. It's you know, your name is on it for 60 years before your ring gets retired to the Hall of Fame. 60 years, right? So they were talking about on the radio that the Avalanche now that have won it, they will be on it in the 2080s.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right? Like, I won't be here for sure.
No, me neither.
Nope. But for the, like, I'll tell my grandkids, like, hey, like, make sure you pass it along. Remember that time, Landeskog? You know, like, It's just no wonder. Yeah, no wonder. And so if McDavid would have won, I would have been all right. Would have been all right. I still like what we got, but I would have been okay if he won.
I just think McDavid's very unlikable. I just think he is.
Is it like all of the beard and like?
Well, I mean, that certainly doesn't help. No, I just I've seen he just seems pretty immature. At least he has in the past. I don't know the last few years, but I just remember stories.
I would say his media scrums during the finals were like he did
a good job.
They were good. I don't know. Didn't follow throughout the season, any of that stuff, but very he did a good job.
Yeah.
I mean, he was losing most of the time, so of course, but yeah.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, who knows? We'll see. You do like to see the guys that are the greats get rewarded at some point. It is a shame that a guy like Dan Marino was such a great player and never got one.
Right.
And
this might be the only time he ever makes it, right? Like Dan Marino made it year 2, never came back again. And you always think like, you'll see it again. Like, they'll be back.
Yeah.
You don't know that. And you don't know that because, right, day after the cup, Leon Draisaitl, like they're like, we might not be able to keep him. We might deal him because of his like that team could get blown up real quick in a capped sport, which is kind of the parity that we all hope for. So with all that being said, and with where the Avalanche are, so one super, super good news. Casey Middlestead is and will remain.
Yep.
Colorado Avalanche. Good deal, 3 years, 5.75. So a little bit more on the AVV per Jesse Moreno to shorten the years down, so we don't have a Val Nichushkin issue where you're like you pay him less, but now it's a monstrosity. Right?
Yeah.
And so and more in terms of like length, can't get out of it. When the guy's on the ice, he's 10 times the player most of the guys are.
Right.
So with that, essentially, picking 25 in Friday's NHL draft, the Avs have 2 choices. Trade that first round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Try and get, and you're probably going to get, I don't know. I mean, maybe you could get a top-ish tier defenseman, maybe definitely a top 3 line forward. I don't know about goalie. I saw kind of what the move was for Boston's goalie. That seemed a little steep. So what do you want to see them do? Because one, they got to replenish the farm system. It's not great when you bring up guys and you ship guys out to have a cup run. They are in a window still. What would you like them to do with that pick on Friday?
I think you have to operate under the assumption that you're not gonna I don't know that you're not gonna see Gabe on the ice this year, but that his effectiveness or his ability to play is good.
Yes, I think you'll see him. Effectiveness, yes, 100%.
Yeah, I think
you will see 70, 80% of him, and one because you're paying him,
right?
What are you gonna do? You're gonna cut Val, or you're gonna trade Gabe after Gabe his leg for you?
No. So yeah, I mean, you've got to operate under the assumption that they may play, that Gabe may play, probably will play. That seems to be the plan. But again, you have to kind of temper expectations, especially early on. I don't know how high we think that ceiling will get again with him, even if he is feeling good. He's aging, and he's had multiple surgeries, and you just never know how a guy's going to respond, how his body's going to respond to being back out there and playing at an elite level again, or attempting to at least. So I think you have to look at some similar body types, and toughness. I think you got to get Gabe, a Gabe and a Val, physical, gritty, good defensive offensive player, someone who can play on a line with middle stat, presumably. Good feel around the net. I think there's some key things that you're going to be looking for a potential line mate that can play up, hopefully on the second or third line as they develop. Picking in the 20s, mid 20s. Yeah, I don't know how I haven't really done a study to know how often you hit on those guys, but a lot of them see the farm system and then you never see them again. You never hear from them again, or they go overseas and they have more opportunity there and they end up sticking. Not usually first round.
Because in hockey, right? It's guaranteed contract. In the NHL, it's not NBA money, it's not baseball money, right?
No.
So you can only offer so much. Also, in Major League Baseball, you can throw a ton of money at a prospect to entice them to stay in the draft, let alone all this stuff, right? So one of the examples I have here on Bleacher Report, which I kind of like.
Yeah.
So Dominic Badinka, so a Czech forward, 6'3", 190, on the junior national or the junior 20 and under national squad, has been a really good player. Essentially kind of fits the mold that you're talking about. And I think there's kind of two ways to look at it. And really you can dice it up, which in same drafts, or you can move it around. When you are looking at building a team, you need high potential prospects.
Right.
If they hit, we got. And you need high floor prospects.
Right.
Because 15 Nates won't work. They'd be fast, but that would be a dysfunctional locker room. They would fight over the sauce on the noodles. I mean, you can't have the type A leaders all over the place, right? You can't have 5 Michael Jordans on the floor. It just won't happen. Imagine more than one Kobe. Him and Shaq barely made it through, and that says a lot, seeing as how big Shaq is. You got to be alpha to think that you can even talk crap to. Anyway. So being able to get guys that are going to go and cause a muck in front of the net, guys that we feel strongly can give us 17 good minutes a night, that they're going to play even hockey. Because in the playoffs, you need that guy to go out there and play even in hockey. Right? Because of just the complexities of it, the shrinking of the ice, the extra play that gets to happen, the weight of each goal and the momentum. And so looking for guys that can fill it, because most of the guys on your team are cog guys. They are guys that will do the little extra so that your stars can shine. That's it in all of sports, right? And you can't win a championship without those guys. No team has ever been man, we have too many glue guys,
Yeah. Too many good role players.
Too many role players, because you can ship them up. You can, let them play for a couple of years and you move them as a part of a deal because someone else needs a guy like that. They're always valuable.
For sure.
But you got to try and hit on a guy that's a major prospect. He's probably going to flame out, but if he hits, we got a right winger for a decade. And so how you do that and when you do that, that's why people get pick money, and that's why people get fired a lot, is what pick to use it. And, how much are we banking on what that needs? So for the Avs right now, I think that they need to go much more of the, let's take a big swing here in the first round.
Yeah.
Let's go for a guy that we think can be a top 6 forward or a top 4 defenseman or number 1 goalie. And I think with that pick, especially back here, we want a guy that we feel like can, if we get it, we're going to be nasty for a while, because guys in the NHL can come in to play at 21, 20, all that stuff. That said, this team doesn't need them to. They want to be good for a long time, which fans we want. That would be the way that I would look at it. So a guy like that would be great. I've seen some other moves for some other wingers, in the juniors who are putting up ridiculous amount of points, really good hand-eye, but maybe they're smaller in the 6 foot buck something range. I would say if you're going to be a team that remains on skating and skill, it doesn't hurt either to go there. But would you be? I actually don't think do you even think they could package it unless you're shipping off unless you're shipping off Val or Gabe, could you even like package a first round pick to bring back anyone of note? Because of both of those guys are going to be making $7 million next year from the Avalanche. You couldn't really bring what a first round pick should bring you.
Sure.
In return. So, like, I mean, do you see it any different?
No, I mean, there are always guys that. Sorry, my son's phone was ringing. There are always guys who can move, but it's a matter of like, is the juice worth the squeeze, right? I mean, there are guys that I would move, but like, I don't think you can move a guy like Sam Girard. Like a second line defenseman, maybe. Without creating a bigger hole.
Right.
It's not like they're flush with super talented defensemen. They have probably a guy on each line that you trust and feel good about. Taves, you feel good about. Makar, obviously, you feel good about. And then, Girard.
I mean, I think that those are the only 4 that they have on guaranteed contracts right now.
Right. And so, you really got to look at the defensive group as somewhere that you can maybe infuse some young talent and hope that some guys develop quickly. The problem is with the NHL draft is that it's always, that's always a projection, right? You're not projecting.
Yeah. And no one's playing today.
Right. Even a Cale Makar took, almost a full season to get him up to find the ice, and that was in the postseason. So, I mean, the impact of it.
That dude's special.
Right.
McKinnon, guys that are taken like first overall will probably play, top 10 maybe. Yeah, you're drafting in the 20s. It's like the NBA, right? Like you are hope or a contributor. Like I'm not banking for anything from you. And especially in the NHL, we might not see your face.
Right.
Yeah.
So
there are a ton more rounds though, at least for like, in the NBA there's 2.
Right.
And that's it. But I do think I like your strategy, even from rounds 2 on, in my opinion, would be go get some guys that are probably maxed out physically.
Yeah.
Guys that are 4-year seniors at Boston or whatever, right? Who can give you some grown man minutes. And, they will have a low ceiling, high floor, but those are guys at least even on 2-way contracts or that there have been a lot of guys in the NHL that have made 10-year careers out of, being a dude. And I think sometimes this team gets a little cute, and we go for big fish instead of just. Sometimes you just need some good dudes, right? Cogs, signing those papers. That was a guy that made $1 million a year, which for what he provided, leadership, etc., consistent ice play, they're not going to find that again, or it's going to be really difficult. You have to go try and find a reachhead like Paris, come back, but those guys might not want to come here. And they have to start stocking some of those guys. There has to be some guys that have opportunities to come up from Loveland and see some ice, and then we got to play them through. It's a little of the Malone-ish. Like you got to let a dude stink it up a little bit and get his butt kicked in the NHL for some minutes, and develop so that he can be your bottom 6, defenseman for 5 years. Like it's just nice to not worry about some of those positions for a while.
Yeah. I think like if you have any mobility with moving salaries, you've got Josh Manson who makes about $4.5 million a year. I don't know that Josh Manson. I like Josh Manson. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a good player. I don't know that you need him moving forward. If that allows you to re-sign a guy like Sean Walker for less to be your second line pairing, I would be okay with them going that route. And then you cut a little bit of cap with that potentially.
You got to kind of flip. You got to kind of flip from we're going to be super talented on defense. Essentially, we're Byram, the whole 9. But with injuries and things like that, it really didn't manifest into like dominant defensive hockey because of the style. So,
and I think Manson is not necessarily a guy that really fits what the Avs like to do on the defensive side. They've kind of made this these pairs of like, okay, we have one good puck moving defenseman and one kind of solid, defensive defenseman, right, as opposed to an offensive defenseman, which I don't know
it's
is
like
working the way
one
they
guy
wanted
that gets
it to.
like jump in, make some plays, the other guy has got to cover him.
Right, exactly.
Josh Manson's always like, bro, can I shoot? No.
Yeah, well, and the problem is like Devon Toews is such a good player, and it's such a good defenseman at doing that and covering for Cale when he
jumps
on
in
the offensive end. But
Yep.
I don't know that you can expect that from your second line.
You can't, and that's why Toews makes so much money, because he's so good at it. And that's why he's a top pairing, right? And that's why he's still on the team. He's locked up for another 2 years, because we can't lose you, because it helps Cale be special. So,
and Josh Manson is one of those guys that, like, if you're gonna build your team a certain way, and he doesn't really fit that mold, then why are we paying him to stay? So, and not to say again, I'm not a Josh Manson hater, but that's just kind of an example.
Not even a little bit. He's phenomenal, like you said. But it's like he was here to kind of hold that puck window with that group together. In the last 2 years, it hasn't worked. The core isn't him. Josh Manson is not. If they're saying, what's your championship core? It's not like Makar, McKinnon, Manson, 3 M's. But it doesn't mean he's not. He's not a good player.
Yeah, and then I guess the only other place that I would say maybe you could find a way to unload. You've got Ross Colton at about $4 million a year as your third line center. I don't know that you have anyone that could really step up and be that guy. I like Yakov Trenin. I think he could potentially, if you re-signed him, come up and give you third line minutes. And the fact that he plays on the power penalty kill is big. So maybe you could slot out a guy like Ross Colton or even Miles Wood if you bring Logan O'Connor back, and that's a decent price. And I think it's probably worth bringing Logan O'Connor back, honestly.
Again, one of those guys, right, that does all the stuff that other guys won't do. You're in a sticky spot. But you assume and hope that Gabe will play. And even if he's 60%, 70%, what does that give you?
Right.
And the big one will be Val. There's gonna be half the group that doesn't want to see him. Love him, don't want to see him, can't rely on you. And then the other half that no, he's going to get paid by us anyway.
Right.
Like we are cup contenders with him on the ice. We can't get value back. And that would be hopefully they sit down with McKinnon, Makar, et cetera, and say, like, hey, you guys tell us, right? Like, we'll put him on leave and we'll pay him and he can go play in the KHL and we'll never see him again. Or, either way, he's getting paid from us, guys. So what do we want to do? And then that group really has to be the de facto GM in that. Like, I'm going to give you the team that you want, guys, and we'll go from there. Hoping Val's time off in Russia is hopefully he's working the program. Does Russia, I'm not, this is going to be super American right now. Do they even believe in like alcohol substance? It'd be like,
I'm sure they do, but I have no idea.
Is it like, yeah, like we'll help you quit like with vodka, just like,
right.
Just kidding. It's not funny. It's not funny. But for real, it's sad because what he has on the line is nothing financially. It's all right. It's all like cup awards. It's a long deal. He's going to get paid for a while.
Yeah.
The only caveat being, and I've heard this be a pretty valid point, that the NHL might have to step in and override to make sure that this doesn't happen again. Because that if it's me, if I'm the Avs, I'm not signing anyone past 4 years again, outside of a McKinnon or like you got burned and, you want long-term security like that. If you're not our top 4, like, good luck. So Go Avs. Expect you. They're already, I think they have the 3rd best odds next year. I think, or maybe that's the Nuggets already. It's the Nuggets. I think they do have like top 10, top 5, top 10.
Yeah, they should. I mean, they still
expect you to be back in it. And like you said, they're going to have to take a risk on a few guys. They are not at a place to have a star-studded top to bottom lineup. But to be honest, most teams right now in this cap age don't. And that's good news for them because every team will have a weakness. And if you get a good matchup in the playoffs, you might be dancing. So
Yep. That's true. Well, you want to transition to the other draft that's occurring?
Yep. Might have snuck up on everyone. Do you like how the NHL and NBA drafts are like, boom, championships done, drafts tomorrow? Like, whoa. Have they even done their parade in Boston?
Yeah. I remember it feeling like that after the Nuggets championship too. Just like, we're already at the draft.
Like, I didn't even know. I couldn't tell you who the Avs drafted. Like, I wouldn't even. I remember who the Nuggets drafted. It took me a second.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, like, who cares who they draft? Go Nuggets.
Yeah, it's just that NHL. The return is so late down the road, sometimes. So it's like, you can learn these guys' names, but they may not be around. But it was good. You do get guys that come through, like used to standing in.
I mean, the Rockies. The MLB draft is like in the middle of the summer.
All
the guys are playing. It's. Yeah, the NFL did it right. Good job, NFL. You've mixed it around, but it's like, you got your each calendar month, you know what to bank on and follow fandom. So other leagues figure it out. But let's go. I'm super excited about it. I've been drinking the sauce.
Okay.
Been drinking the sauce. Darren Holmes. Not to be confused with Darren Holmes, who used to be a Rockies pitcher way back when.
That's true.
Sweet Fu Manchu. Big like dip out the side, loved it. But Holmes, Dayton Flyer Jr., 6'9", 230. 6'9", 230. You got to eat a little bit, big homie. But average 20 points a game, 8 rebounds, 8+ rebounds, almost 40% from 3. Essentially, like if he averages half of those numbers, he's not shooting, but half of the totality, like. Sign me up tomorrow, today, next week. Like, is there any reason why it shouldn't be him?
Well,
if he's on the board with who could be in and around that area, is there another prospect for the team's needs? We need shooting and a big man off the bench. Tell me why I'm wrong or not.
No, I mean, I think that is probably the best. There were rumors, and they've kind of fluctuated back and forth about whether the Nuggets made a promise that they were going to draft Holmes or not.
Just for everyone, where that came from is essentially he canceled all of his workouts for teams that were drafting in the second round, high second round, which would signal that he has a guarantee or for sure or a stamp from a team in the back half of round 1 saying, if you're on the board, we'll take you. Otherwise, why would you cancel it if you're not going to be a top tier guy? So,
and the rumor was that the Nuggets had made that promise to him.
Yeah, the connection has been because he was consensus really for most of probably the last week and a half of this draft process connected to the Nuggets. So, I think it's as easy as A and B. But with the numbers that I just went over, why would he be on the board that long?
I think that becomes the big question, right?
It really is because the center position isn't real in basketball anymore, and so that would be the only one, is in my opinion, right? And it's NBA is weird, man. NBA is weird.
It is. I think that he's who you want to land there. I don't know that he is going to be there. I saw something today. I wish I could remember what team it was, but another team around where the Nuggets are picking seems to be interested in him as well. Talks of people moving ahead of Denver if Denver can't move up in the draft to get Holmes. My feel is that it's probably not going to happen unless they decide to move and be more aggressive. But you never know. Draft posturing is a thing. Other GMs are going to work their magic. They're going to talk in their circles and make whatever rumor they want out there. They're going to put it out there, so it's possible that they just are trying to get the Nuggets to overpay for a player that they're interested in, or potentially not even really that interested in, but they want some gamesmanship
John
around
Payton trying to get Minnesota to go take a quarterback that he wasn't going to take.
Right.
Um, and for the sake of it, right? So in this area in which the Nuggets are drafting, you're looking at guys who either come from a Kentucky. So Justin Edwards, small forward, played this much, averaged like 8 points a game. Significant projection on the player, but you're also using, because we follow prospects in the NBA now or baseball, right? Like a lot of the guys that are coming into the NBA were super good at 13, at 14, at 15, at 16, at 7. And there has been buzz around these guys for a really long time. So them not having a tremendous year one in college doesn't undo all of that tracking, right? And so you look at Peyton Watson, what he averaged 3 points a game, and was a first-round pick for the Nuggets. And so you're looking for either lightning in a bottle like that guy, freakish athlete, really highly thought of recruit, was on a team that he wasn't the main focus on, whatever that is, or your Euro stash kind of guy, or maybe a secondary or tertiary option on a Euro team, like Bobby Klitzman from Sweden, 6'9", average under 10 points. Guys like that are just all projection. Or like the Nuggets did last year, we're going to go get 4-year seniors who have a ton of tournament experience or big program experience that we feel like can handle the grind. Didn't come to fruition last year in the sense of, Julian Strother gets hurt. The other two guys, I think, are 2 one-trick pony or not top athletic enough to really get into a championship caliber team. Like, this isn't Toronto. This is the reigning NBA champion. So, and because their needs are so specific, could they use a really great potential player? Sure. But those guys usually aren't the back end of one. You're really looking for role specific. Like, we have a hole here, we got to fill it. So shooting, back guard playmaking, you can always use a really good defender, 3-and-D guy, or you're big. And I really think because of the style that the Nuggets play, my opinion is like that is the guy they have to go get.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask you, you would prefer they get an athletic big to back up Jokic as opposed to someone that's just a bigger body that maybe is a more fit? I would say a more defensive athletic big versus maybe a better offensive big that doesn't have the same athleticism.
Yeah. So, for instance, there's Khalil Ware, Indiana center, 7 foot, wiry, much more of an athlete, but in my opinion, he veers more from what you do with Jokic, right? And so some of my feeling is either he has to be able to play in complementary with Jokic on the floor at the same time, able to shoot the 3 for sure, which Khalil Ware can. He shot over 42%, I think, or has to be able to play similarly. Can he handle the ball? Can he set a mean pick? Can he defend the rim? Yeah, and they're not going to be Jokic in the sense of I don't want him dribbling the ball down and no look passing it. But can they run similar sets? Can he pose a similar threat on the floor? And so my opinion is it's kind of one of those where I think you need more of an anchor 2 or backup big because of the way that usually when Jokic plays, he is the biggest, like he's the biggest guy in the court.
Right.
And you don't need someone that is really kind of another Aaron Gordon that's like can defend some guys, but nope, that's it. I want banging again. It's Karl Anthony Towns if he ever plays basketball, right? Anthony, like guys like that, Anthony Davis, or can neutralize or create some problems for Rudy Gobert if he gets an offensive rebound, like things like that. Like, what is the role? And I think the role is to give you 10 to 12 minutes off the bench that are good, tough minutes. Not a guy that's like super high ceiling that, has a huge offensive upside. The ball's not, they're not going to have the ball enough. And unless there's some big trades coming where you're going to free up some shots, which I don't see happening.
Right.
then I think you need to get a guy that's going to be excited for his role. And to be honest, can probably do it better than anyone else. So a guy that can come in, be a really big presence in the middle, and can hit a three. We don't have a guy like that. Even Jokic is a dominant presence down low in terms of driving to the basket because of the lack of vertical athleticism. That's just not what the Nuggets. I don't want him taking 6 fouls a game protecting the rim. I want someone else that can come do that, body check someone on the floor, that kind of thing. So that's my hope. If that's not there, again, I don't think you have enough good wing defenders. So that would be kind of my second, actually, and then a third would be ball handling backcourt. And the reason why that's third, because I don't think that you're going to get that kind of playmaker at this area of the draft, because most of the guys that are good at that thing are prioritized 1 through 15. Right. So I think you're all projection there, and I want someone to be able to come in and produce minutes because of the lack of availability to go into the free agent market and bring in a good player that can do some of that stuff. So that's my prescription or whatever.
Yeah.
My medical note, none of that stuff is good. No, scrap. But anyway, what are your thoughts? We blink. It's tomorrow. The Nuggets did. What would be an A draft night?
So for me, it kind of depends on what the plan is. Partially with KCP moving forward, and that's something I think we wanted to talk about. Was I think to me it feels like with a guy like KCP, the more time that goes by that you don't sign him is probably a sign that you're not going to re-sign him. And I hope that I'm wrong with that. But it feels like a guy like KCP, who's I think everyone would agree is a very high level role player. Obviously a starting,
and he's a role player because he has accepted it, not because he's not good at it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But he does have limitations on the offensive end specifically. And so it makes you wonder if maybe he's going to be priced out. If he is priced out, then what do you do in that second guard, that 2-guard role? I don't know if Christian Braun's ready for that. I would like to think that he is. I think that he could come in and be effective. I think you lose a lot of shooting with him out there, and that becomes a concern for me, because part of the problem with the Nuggets in the postseason was a lack of shooting, and especially from three range, and so 3-point range, and so it becomes difficult to replace that guy. If you do have to move away from a guy like KCP, I would try and find more of a combo guard, someone that can take the ball handling out of Jamal's hands, especially when he's been the primary ball handler most of the game. Someone that can run some pick and roll with Jokic. Someone who can get into some actions and you feel good about it. I think I don't know that Christian has the ability to do that as a primary ball handler, and so that makes me worry about. Right, it makes me worry about the versatility that offense could have, missing KCP. So I think that I would look. There are a few guys that I would look like guys who can play in the pick and roll are guys that I'm going to value. I think a guy like Baylor Shireman out of Creighton, 6'3", 202, good ball handler, good off the ball mover, which is something that we value with Jokic being kind of your primary setup man. Good rebounder, has good feel for the game. I think he's someone who could come in. He may be giving up a little bit of defensive prowess. He's not very athletic. So this is another guy that could be a high floor guy as opposed to a super high ceiling guy. But someone who could kind of come in, take some pressure off of Jamal as a ball handler at times. Someone like that. Otherwise, I'm looking for an athletic big that can come in and either be effective with a good running mate with the second team that can use that athleticism. Like, you think of someone maybe in the mold of like a Clint Capella, something like that. Hopefully maybe a little more polished offensively, or some ability to have some range to his game.
Yes.
But someone who's going to affect shots, someone who's going to have some decent upside with their athleticism, someone who's not. I think with centers, the thing that I like most about a good center is good hands. Someone who has good hands around the basket.
Yeah, you throw it in the post, like hold on to the ball. Don't get it smacked away, right? Because the defense is naturally going to collapse on you. I love all that. One adjustment I was going to give one. I know two players, like you were mentioning about combo guards. One is Brun and James. Just saying.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, the second round pick, I know we joked about it last time. Would we be interested back end around one? To be honest, back end around one for the Nuggets, maybe.
Yeah.
Because that pick is such a dart throw anyway. He has basketball IQ. He can shoot, and he has an NBA body type. I mean, he's a James kid. Additionally, there's a guy like Harrison Ingram played at Stanford 2 years ago, transitioned over to University of Northern Carolina. I can't say it. North Carolina. It's the other UNC. It's the
not the Colorado UNC.
Was a big time playmaker at Stanford. Went to UNC last year and really was like accepted the role of the tough defender. Guy can add some physicality to the backcourt. 6'5", 230. He gets put together a little bit. Body, shot almost 40%. So he actually progressed in his efficiency. Averaged 12 points a game, 8 rebounds. But a guy that showed if he puts in some effort was able to improve his 3-point shooting to, one that probably translates in the NBA to low to mid 30s. But if he can come in, give you some really tough minutes, and the glue guy brings some size to that backcourt again, kind of in the KCP mold, I would be for it. So I think that the Nuggets can do. And I think they can do a little bit. They have a back end pick, number 56. CBS Sports, for example, has them taking Cam Spencer from Connecticut, who averaged 14, 6'4" guard, 44% from three. I think it's probably a little redundant with the guys that we took last time. That said, so what, right? Like, if we need this role filled, I'm going to draft 3 of you back to back years. Whoever makes it first wins, right? And that's like, to me, that's how I would do it. We're going to keep doing it until we get guys that can be able to contribute there. What's super interesting is a guy like maybe KJ Simpson, who played at Colorado, if anyone's familiar. Really, really quick blow by kind of point guard, Ty Lawson-ish, right? Where 6 foot, not real big, but can shoot the 3 and can put pressure on a defense. So we don't have a guy like that necessarily. I don't think we have anyone or have had anyone in a while that really predicates their game on speed. I don't know if that fits stylistically with what the Nuggets want to do, but
he reminds me a little bit of, not physically so much, but a little bit of Bones Highland as far as his ability to make tough shots. He'll take threes from way behind the arc. He's confident. He's pretty clutch, really.
People saw in the in the tournament, right? He's hitting game winners. I mean, and he shot 43.4% from 3. So even if you're bringing in the fact that he is confident with his range, it doesn't bring that shooting percentage. I mean, that's a pretty gaudy number, to be quite honest with you. And so, when he was the offensive cornerstone to that team. So there's a lot of pressure on him to score on a consistent basis. Anyway, I think that's someone, especially, they have him on CBS Sports going the pick after the Nuggets take a guard at pick 56.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind, flip-flopping that.
For sure.
And bringing in a speedy guy. I think that there's some good gets at the back end of this draft. And I wouldn't mind maybe, if they nickel and dimed and added an additional second and really breed some competition from guys 9 through 15. And, guys got to get better. They got to get better fast. And hopefully you're using your summer to put yourself on the court. Peyton Watson, I'm talking to you, right? Like Christian Brown, those guys have to be able to be NBA contributors on the offensive end. Next, and display it by summer league. or like that's it. I mean, in the end, that's the third year of their rookie deal, so it's kind of that anyway. But now it's got to fill those gaps. This window will close. Jokic will turn 30 this year. 3-time MVP, 1 championship, just not good enough. So I hope they're aggressive in the sense of, go get a guy that you feel can really be a good piece, or a cheap bring back for a Bruce Brown type player with that first round pick. If the guy from Dayton's not there.
Yeah. Another guy that I like, let me pull up his thing. So I don't know if he'll be there, but I really like this Yves Missy. I think that's how you say it. Big athletic guy, kind of like we were talking a bit. Like I think the thing here says comparison to Jalen Duren, who was a guy that I thought the Nuggets could have drafted a few years back that I would have been interested in. So athletic, maybe a little bit slight as far as weight. He's 6'10", 229. Probably needs to put on some functional muscle, but really good defensive center. Wingspan 7'2", so decent length. Good lob guy. I think someone who can come in and create some energy, especially for a second unit that a big portion of the year didn't have a lot of energy.
None, right? And no one that was willing to kind of be the spark plug. It was a lot of defer, bad shot at the end of the clock. Yep, 100%.
And presumably, Reggie's going to exercise his player option, so he'll be back. So
unless he's a guy that utilized a $5 million trade exception,
Yeah, that's true.
But you got to operate on until he's not on this team. He's on this team.
And funnily enough, I think he's a decent pick and roll guard, Reggie. And so having a guy that is a lob threat could be useful for that second team to have, especially. We saw a few games with Reggie and DeAndre Jordan, and even old tired DeAndre Jordan was getting up for some lobs and throwing them down.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if you put it near the basket, there's guys that can dunk it, and if you can create and get to the paint, make DeAndre Jordan look like yesteryear.
Yep. Another guy that could be a second round guy like Jalen Bridges. He's a Baylor senior.
I like
just a lot of good skills that would work in a Nuggets offense. He's a good shooter. He could run off screens and take threes off screens, off of handoffs. Decent shot creation. Good ball handling. A pretty high IQ as far as is able to find his spacing on the floor and be in the right position at the right time. And he's an effort guy. He's a guy that'll move without the ball. All of those things are things that I think that the Nuggets front office and anyone that plays with Nikola Jokic, those are qualities you want them to have. You worry a little bit. He wasn't a super consistent 3-point shooter through his college career. But that's something that could fluctuate there. He could work on and get better. And he's a low usage guy. He didn't put on a lot of. He didn't have, considering that he's a senior, he didn't have a lot of usage on his body. So, if he's healthy, he's a guy that I think could be an impactful role player in this league. I like this. They said for his player comp on, what is this? NBA? Oh, The Ringer. Shades of Royce O'Neal crossed with Mikal Bridges. I mean, that's two pretty good players. That if you get a comp, like that's like a good big guard, that has use and versatility in this league, mixed with one of the best 3-and-D guys that just got brought over to the Knicks, by the way.
Yep.
So that's a guy that I think has some potential.
Hey, really quick, because I wouldn't have liked it, but obviously things change when you're rooting for an NBA team.
Sure.
So Kyle Filipowski, center from Duke, has a face that you want to punch.
It's true.
Sophomore, 6'11", 35% from three. Knows how to use his body, can shoot from range. It kind of is the stuff that we've talked about. but played at Duke. Real quick, yes or no?
It doesn't really move the bar for me, or the barometer, whatever it is for me. The needle, so to speak.
Yeah.
I think he's got some skills. I think he's a good ball handler. I think that's something that is that would draw me towards him. But I think there's a lot of guys in the league that can do that sort of thing, and you can get them for pretty cheap if you really wanted to go get them. You know, you can get a guy like a Jock Landale from the Rockets, who are presumably shopping everyone right now.
Yeah.
You can get a guy like Zach Collins, probably, if you wanted to make a small move and get him from the Spurs, and he would fill a specific kind of role.
Which I think that they, you know, if they have a lot in the last 2 years, right? Five draft picks over the last 2 years.
Yep.
And all those guys are guys that you need in your plan, right? So utilize some of that, I think, to go get. And then the last one, before I know that we'll probably have to bail here in a second.
Yep.
Any interest in Zach Edey? The guy's like polarizing, 7'4", like 300 pounds from Purdue, dominated. His game may not translate, right? Like just in the sense of down low play, but his ability to dominate, I don't think you can look past it. You can't be like, oh, like it won't translate. Like Dude was the reason Purdue's in the championship game against, and hung in a little bit against a much better UConn team. Thoughts on him? One. Thoughts on him being a Nugget? Two.
Yeah, I like Edey. I'm interested by Edey. I don't know that if the Nuggets took him, I wouldn't be upset. I do wonder if what his ceiling is. I mean, at the very least, he's a big body. He can affect shots. If he's too slow, that becomes an issue, especially if he has to play in drop all the time in the pick and roll. That does concern me. But I do think he showed some good offensive prowess in the tournament. He's shown some decent ability to create a basket, not just out of the post, but facing up a little bit. I don't know that you're going to ask him to do a ton away from the basket just because of his size,
and just hasn't shown the propensity to really be consistent with the outside shot.
Right.
So
drafting
him, and then putting him in position to do things he's not good at early, not ideal.
Yeah. So I would be intrigued. I would be interested. I don't know that that's your answer for backing up Jokic, but if you took if you were able to find him in the second round somehow, and they made a move to grab him, or if he fell, why not? Try it.
Yeah.
It's like when Taco Fall came into the league. You're like, there's some physical traits that you can't teach.
Right. Yeah.
And so,
it's Bol Bol, right?
There.
Like it's Bol Bol. It's if you hit again, it's the two philosophies. If you hit, it's that would be a nightmare, right? You got him and Jokic. Like, good luck.
Yeah, exactly.
You might be trying to 3S all day, but we're gonna shoot 70% from the floor.
Yeah,
because we got two guys that do what you can't. So I'm excited. You know what? In the end, the page has turned. Boston, nice job. Can hate you again. I'm glad that Luka didn't win one. I like Luka sometimes, but that dude just grow up a little bit. Glad Minnesota didn't win. Y'all didn't deserve it. You know it. We choked. We'll get back at it next time. Next rendition of who the team is going to be along KCP, because we're going to be tax apron, double, triple, all that stuff. The window's short. We got 2 years. Hey, Cronkies, use that Walmart money. You can loan some from the Broncos and go get someone that can contribute tomorrow.
For sure. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate your time. As always, got some drafts coming up, so keep your eye on the news. See who the Nuggets and Avs bring in. I'm always excited. Doesn't matter what draft it is. I'm always excited to see the prospects and where they land. So we will be keeping an eye on that, and we'll be talking about it in the next few weeks. Otherwise, just thank you again. If you ever want to reach out, hit us up on Twitter. The Doc and I are both there, as well as our podcast Twitter handle. What is it now? Doc and JT? Is that it?
Yep. DOC and 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 JT.
Yep. At Doc and JT. So hit us up there. Interact with us. We'll talk sports all day, every day. But thank you. We will see you next week. Go Denver Broncos team Denver area teams, all the Denver teams, all the Colorado teams.
Always.
And if you need a sports prescription, make sure you ask a doctor.
Holla at your boy.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Tempo's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast's racking up the flight miles. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle. Wait a minute, work hard for the car, so this